Hello, I'm Daltonics, and today I wanted to talk about collision because, well, it's something I've been dealing with a lot this week. Bouncing into walls over and over and over, hoping to see it work. And it works now. Collision is the part of making an engine that feels like it's the most tangible math. It's the easiest to understand. You can get a pretty good result just by, well, doing simple subtraction. Like these walls right here are what is called axis aligned bounding boxes. As long as everything is a rectangular prism and the rectangular prisms do not rotate, then you can do some easy math. What I'll be showing here is the sort and sweep method to see if these two squares are colliding. At first, we would take our minimum x, we're going to start on the x-axis here, and we would say, okay, this is at 2. And we would go and we would find the next one, which would be 3, 4, 5. And we'll say this is 5. That's our min and that's our max x position, right? We can come down here and mark it. Now, we can prove that these are intersecting on the x-axis if we come over here and we go, okay, this one's at 1 and this one's at 3. We can see that our bounds here are overlapping. That proves that those are intersecting on the x-axis. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that these two squares would be intersecting, because say our first square here was actually above. Now on the y-axis it wouldn't be intersecting, but on the x-axis it still is. So just because we've proven it on one axis does not mean that these two rectangles are actually touching. We would have to go over to the y-axis as well, and we would say, hey, this one's at, oh dear heavens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 3, and this next one is at 2 and 4, so they're intersecting there. So these two have been proven mathematically that they are colliding. And that is how we get to something like, once I get back to it, in our engine. Beautiful title screen. We go and we see these walls here. All we're testing for is, well, it's invisible right now. There's a box collider. We're testing if the bounds of my box collider is within the bounds on all three axes of these walls. And if they are, then we're colliding. And we say no. Now, what do we do if we are colliding? What do I do to Aciprite? Come on. If we are colliding, we would try to find the penetration depth in order to use that to back out of it as much as we did. Now, normally what I would do is I would find out of the x, y, and z that we would get here, say these are intersecting by 1 on this axis, intersecting by 1 on this axis. We could say 2 on the z, who cares? But we have x, y, z of a 1, 1, 2. Now, we know how much we are intersecting by on all axes, so we would just use this amount right here that we've set out in our x, y, and z, and we would back, in this case, if we say this is the player here, we would take this cube out, back 1 this direction, 1 this direction, I guess it would be -1, because it would be back left, and then up, which would be +1, and then whatever the z is, since it's hypothetical here. And that would give us our penetration depth and the distance we need to back out. In terms of other things we've done since the last video, well, we've added these walls as well, have been displayed. We've added these floors here to act as our safeguard against gravity, and we've, well, added gravity. Gravity is really simple, but it's just subtracting from the y velocity, but we'll go over that on a different video. Anyways, thanks for watching.